So today we will be learning how to divide fractions and mixed numbers. So we're going to take the last several lessons and they kind of all get combined into today's lesson. So the first thing I need to explain to you is what a reciprocal is. A reciprocal. There's a fancy name for that, and that's called multiplicative inverse. Okay, and what that really means is finding a number that when you multiply the two numbers together, you get 1. And here is the easy way to do it. Flip that fraction. Okay, flip that fraction, meaning if I have a fraction, I'm going to flip it upside down. And the reason that works, like I said, it's when two fractions or two numbers multiply together and get 1. So if we just did the plain old 3/4 times 4/3, we multiply across, we get 12 over 12. And we know that whenever we have the same number in the numerator and the denominator, when we divide, we get 1. So just for some examples, if I have 2/3, the reciprocal is 3/2. I just flip it upside down. 4/5 is 5/4. 1/2. Now here's these last two look weird, but they're really the same. 1/2, if I flip it upside down, I get 2 over 1. 4. How do I find the reciprocal of 4? We know from a previous lesson that a whole number can be written as a fraction with the denominator of 1. So 4 is the same as 4 over 1. When we find the reciprocal, we flip that over and we get 1/4. Now remember, the definition of a reciprocal or a multiplicative inverse is when you multiply the two fractions together, you get 1. So we have here, if we were to multiply each of these together, 2 times 3 is 6 over 6, which is 1. 4 times 5, that's 20 over 20, which is 1. 2 over 2 is 1. 4 over 4 is 1. So these are all reciprocals of each other, or multiplicative inverses. Now, there's going to come a time when we have to find a reciprocal of a mixed number. That's a lot of stuff to do. So the first thing we do is we change that mixed number into an improper fraction. So just like we did in our last lesson, is we multiply the denominator times the whole number. 3 times 2, which is 6. Add the numerator, which is 7. And then we keep the same denominator. Okay, so that's the first step. Now we flip that fraction. So our reciprocal is 3/7. And we can check that because when we multiply across, we get 21 over 21, which is 1. Let's put it into some problems. Now, here is the most important part about dividing fractions. When you divide by a fraction, it's going to kind of hard. You can't do that long division stuff like that like we can with whole numbers. So what we do is we multiply by the reciprocal. When we divide by a fraction, we multiply by its reciprocal. We flip that second fraction and multiply. So what we do is, let's start with this problem right here. 3/4 divided by 1/2. So what we do is we rewrite it. 3/4. Instead of dividing by a fraction, we multiply by its reciprocal. So we're going to flip that second fraction, and now we can multiply. So we can multiply straight across and then simplify. I am going to simplify first. So I notice that in my numerator and in my denominator, I have 2 even factors. I can divide by 2. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. 4 divided by 2 is 2. Now I can multiply across. 3 times 1 is 3. 2 times 1 is 2. So 3/4 divided by 1/2 is 3/2. I can keep this as 3/2, or if I wanted to change it to 1.5, that is fine. Okay. Now, let's look at this one up on top. 4/5 divided by 5. 4/5 divided by 5. When we divide by a number, we multiply by its reciprocal. So let's rewrite it. 4/5 times. Now, the reciprocal of 5. Remember, we can write 5 as 5 over 1. So when we take its reciprocal, we're flipping it upside down and we get 1/5. Now let's look to see if we can simplify first. We've got a 4 and a 1 up here and a 5 and a 5 on the denominator. We can't divide anything out yet. Okay, so let's multiply. 4 times 1 is 4. 5 times 5 is 25. And that is our simplest form fraction. That is our answer. So 4/5 divided by 5 is 4/25. Let's do one where we have two mixed numbers. Okay, so first we have a division problem. We have to get an improper fraction for both of them. So let's multiply. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 2 is 8. 8/3. We're just rewriting, so we're keeping the division sign. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 1 is 7/6. Okay, so now to divide fractions, we're going to multiply by the reciprocal. So we're going to write that as 8/3 times the reciprocal of this second number, 6/7. Now let's simplify first. I notice that I have a 6 in the numerator and a 3 in the denominator. Both can be divided by 3. So 3 divided by 3 is 1. 6 divided by 3 is 2. Now let's look in the numerator and the denominator again. I have an 8 and a 2 and a 1 and a 7. I can't divide anything out with that. So now I can multiply across. 8 times 2 is 16. 1 times 7 is 7. I can keep this 16/7, or I can convert it to a mixed number, and that would be 2 and 2/7. Okay, either one of these is a correct answer. You just have to look at your directions. Does it say to convert it back into a mixed number or not? So if it doesn't say, you can do either. That is how you divide fractions and mixed numbers.